Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Proline. This is the NBA and Super Bowl edition of Proline. There's two this week. There's one for college basketball and the one you're watching now, where we'll focus on the NBA and some early stuff for the big games between the Broncos and the Seahawks. Jim Feist is here to do it. John Cranton, Mr. Vegas, is here to do it as well. I'm Dave Koken. Before we get into anything, we'll tell you about some very good offers that are taking place right now. And, John, why don't we start with you? Mr. Vegas has got a $1 per day offer that's on the table right at this time.
You got it. Yep, 7 days for $7. You get all sports, hockey, NBA, and college basketball. 7 days for $7. If you sign up tonight, you get an NBA high roller, 1-866-896-1627.
I'm going to focus on some big plays that I have. These are called window plays. And when we put them online, they're $500 a piece. So, you know, they're obviously geared to players that are playing 3 dimes, 4 dimes, more than that, you know, as much as 5 and 10 dimes. Not everybody can afford them, obviously. But everybody can afford this. And it's a chance to get some of these really big plays and make some money. Now, I'm on a good roll. I had a very nice weekend, 13-3 overall, 9-2 Saturday, 6-0 with the hoops. Won both the Broncos and the Seahawks on Sunday. Hit a big play on the Blazers. Hit a big play on Sunday on Oregon State. I actually like that game a lot against an Oregon team that's overrated right now. You're going to get 7 days of my high roller window plays in the NBA and college. So you're looking at a $3,500 online value. You're going to get all those for $40. And it's also going to include a game of the year, college basketball window game of the year goes on Saturday. That's included. So the whole thing's $40. And again, this is you're not going to get a load of plays here. In other words, it's not going to be like 5 plays each day or one of those deals. You're going to get one strong one every day, though. And that should be all you need if you're looking to win at this. One serious play every day. 1-866-896-1629 is the number to call. That's 1-866-896-1629. You spend $40, I will definitely make it worth your while. Jim, you are asking people to spend roughly the same amount for a whole bunch of stuff. And, wow, I mean, this is strong. You've had a great run in the NFL, especially with the totals, 8 straight. Hoop winners have been rolling in. And here's a chance for everybody to cash in from now until the end of the basketball tournament.
Absolutely, Dave. And that includes a big high roller going tonight. And it's all $39. That's 1-866-841-1655. Or the deal that Dave mentioned for $39 right through the tournament for $39, including a big bonus play tonight. 1-866-841-1655. These are very, very, very inexpensive specials. I've been on a great run, especially in the NFL, and you know, you want to get on board. We'll finish it off. I have a very, very big play going in the Super Bowl, which you will get in that $39 package. So you want to make the call, 1-866-841-1655. I've got some very serious offers and some very strong plays going, so make sure you make that phone call.
All right, get some good stuff to look at here, but first let's start with some Super Bowl talk, guys. You know, they put up a line, and boom, here comes it was like a flood of Denver money. I talked to Jimmy Vaccaro, our good friend over at the South Point, and I said, what is it, about 70% Broncos? And he said, no, it's more than that. So, I mean, everybody's betting Denver, and it shows the number. Early line movement, Denver goes 1, and then it actually did bounce some early. You could have gotten Seattle at some point as the favorite, but not since the game ended. Denver has now taken off as the numbers going up. We're not going to give you picks on the game, obviously. You know, I mean, sorry, but we're not giving out the Super Bowl here. You got to call for that. But do you see the line continuing to move in this game? I do. I think there's going to be a 3 in this game at some point. Now, I think it'll get bought back at 3. So, it might settle at 2, 2.5, but I actually do see this line getting a 3 at some point.
Well, I agree that you may see 3s, and you're going to have to be right there when you see them, because as soon as they show up, they're going to disappear. It's going to be 2.5, 3, 2.5, 3. And then at the end, this is not giving you an opinion on the game. It's what it is. This is what's happening. The game opened up. At some places, it had Denver 1. Other places opened it up Seattle 1.5. So there was kind of a big disagreement between the different houses what the line should be and where the public would go. The reality is 95% of the public is going to bet on Peyton Manning. The guy's been around forever. He's a classy guy. He's never caused any problems. Most of the country, football fans, especially fans, love Peyton Manning. Football bettors are just interested in numbers. They don't care whose name is on the sheet and whose name is on the back of the player. They're going for numbers. So what you have going on here, when the initial number came out and the sharp players saw the 1 on Denver, they immediately took it because they felt like Seattle should be the favorite. But the public doesn't want to hear that. They want Manning to win. They want Manning to win. It's in his brother's house where they play their home games. And ironically, I think he's going to be staying at Eli's house while he's in New York. That's what I read. I don't know if that's true or not. So now you're looking at 2.5 and 2s. As a matter of fact, let me look right now. I'll take you across the board. We're looking at 2.5, 2. One place actually has it 1, minus 25, so that's extra juice. Then another 2, another 2, another 2. So there's more 2s than there are 2.5s. As a matter of fact, there's only right now 1 2.5, and then there's a 1. So the bookmakers are taking positions on this game, but you're going to see 95% of the public money is going to be on Denver. Now that's not a bad thing because the public does win, especially in Super Bowls. They have been known to do much better than the sharps. The sharps are number players, and the public just bets with their heart. So what you're gonna see here is a lot of variance around at different times. But you will never see, in my opinion, a solid 3, because unless it's in a very small house that the sharps don't play at, you're going to see when anytime it hits a 3, it's going to be taken. They're going to grab 3 and they're going to lay. Yeah, so that's what's going on. Now let's look at what's going on in New York. The weather forecast 10 days in advance, 12 days in advance, whatever the hell it is. During the day, the weather's probably going to be in the 20s. At night, but this is a night game. It starts at 6:30 East Coast time. The temperature is going to be 14 to 16 degrees. That's pretty cold. And in that stadium, even if it's not a windy situation, in that stadium for some reason, it's always windy. Now, the degrees of wind make a difference. If it's over 20 miles an hour, that's going to affect the passing game. If it's under 20 miles an hour, it really doesn't usually affect the passing game. You got 2 different teams here. You got a very defensive team, number 1 in the country in the NFL, and you got the number 1 offense in the league. So you have the 2 high seeds from the 2 different conferences, and you have strong defense against strong offense. So there's a lot to talk about in this game, and there's a lot of different and divergent opinions about the game and how it's going to go. Will the offense win? Will the defense win? There's a huge gap in quarterback experience. Wilson's very young, very mobile. Peyton's very old and very immobile. And there's a ton of reasons to like both sides, and it's going to come down to what you put your emphasis on as to what you bet on.
I'll say one thing, and this isn't an indicator of either side, but I've always said that you handicap a Super Bowl unlike you handicap any other game. Value bettors have lost money over the years in the Super Bowl, and the reason for that is they get hung up on the numbers. And look, that's absolutely the right way to play. during the course of 150, 200 games during the course of the season.
That's right.
If you get the value, you'll win. If you play bad value, if you take the wrong number as far as value is concerned, go the wrong side as far as value is concerned, you'll lose long term. That is an absolute. But in a one-game situation, any one individual game, it really doesn't matter. And that's why, to me, if you're going to bet this game, and obviously most of the people watching this are going to bet it. Hell, everybody bets the game in some fashion. I think that what you do, my advice is to take the approach where you handicap the game yourself and just pick the winner of the game. And don't necessarily bet that money line. Go ahead, if you like the favorite and they win by one, well, that's showbiz. I mean, weird things can happen. But to me, this is handicap the game and pick the winner and just go that way. Forget the value because it just doesn't matter on a one-game basis. Or call me because I've got what I'm convinced is the winning side in this football game, and I'll sell it to you. All right? And
well, Dave, I'd like to interject.
So will Jim.
I want to interject something with a spread that's going to be less than 3 on the game. I would suggest people betting the money line because they just want to pick the winner of the game. Because the likelihood of it ending 1 or 2 is really remote.
What did I say? Yeah,
you said don't. I think you said don't.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's a mistake. I mean, the money line's cheap on the favorite. You're not going to get much of a return on the dog, but it's something anyway. So, and more people betting money lines, by the way, which, by the way, I love that because I've always found personally I like money line analysis better than point spread analysis. That's why baseball is my best sport. Okay. Anyway, let's go to Twitter. We have a Twitter question of the week. It's also a Facebook question of the week because you can get involved with us either way. You send us a question at Twitter. Follow us there at Jim Feist Sports, or on Facebook, friend us at Proline TV. If you have a question, we'll be glad to answer it. And we also do a drawing where you can win $100 worth of plays from one of the handicappers of your choice. And this is an NBA question. Any NBA teams, sleeper teams, that may be ready to turn a corner? It doesn't say who sent it in, but that's a good question. John, we haven't had you in the conversation for a few minutes here, so let's get you involved right now. How about an NBA sleeper team that could make some noise down the road?
Sure, I'll go with the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, this is a team that right now they're outside the playoff bubble, right around the playoff bubble, and they got off to a bad start, but they're not having a bad start anymore. They're actually playing very well. I think they already have turned a corner. A 7-2 run, both straight up and against the spread. That included a 5-game winning streak. And when you really look inside those numbers, you can see what has happened with this team. The difference is defense. Last couple of years, Memphis has been a powerhouse defensive team. Didn't get off to a very good start defensively this season, but before that 5-game winning streak, they were giving up 97.4 points and over 46% shooting from the field. All of a sudden, this 5-game streak, they allowed 90.8 points and 41.6% shooting. One of the games was against the Sacramento Kings last week. That's an up-tempo, young offensive team that's great at running. They don't always play defense, but they can score. Well, Memphis held them to 90 points in a 91-90 win, had 13 block shots, 4 block shots apiece from Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. He's back now, Gasol is, after a sprained ACL. So they have their physical big front court in there. And one addition is Courtney Lee. I mean, here's a guy who had been with Boston in recent years, and he was brought there to be a 3-point shooter and a role player. He never really fit in and saw his playing time diminish. So Memphis took a shot and made a recent trade with him, and they put him into the starting role. He's a big guard who can shoot the 3, and for now, in a short period of time, he's found a nice niche. In 4 straight games, he started and averaged 16.3 points per game. So this Memphis team, I think, has already turned a corner. And the way to look at them, they're on a recent 3-0 run under the total. When they're at home facing a team that's basically a bad road team, a team with less winning percentage than 40% on the road, Memphis is 13-5 under the total. So that's where I look at it. I think Memphis is a good play-on team over the next month, and certainly when they're at home, a team to look at under the total.
Well, I'll give you the Warriors who I don't know, I guess they qualify as a sleeper. I mean, everybody knows they're pretty good, but they're sitting in the 6th seed in the West. If they're in the East, they'd be behind Miami and Indiana. Pacers look like the best team in the league right now, and Miami obviously is very strong. Golden State's problem is they're in the West, so they get overshadowed by some teams. But I like the way this team shapes up in terms of being able to do something come playoff time. You've got Curry and Thompson, who can get very hot shooting the basketball, and they run the offense. But they've got some other guys in this team. Andrew Bogut, when he's able to play, when he's healthy, is still a really good defensive weapon. Iguodala hasn't really come together. He hasn't really put it together, but I think he will at some point. The guy's a tremendously solid player. Their field goal shooting defense is 4th in the NBA. That's really good. The Bulls are better, but that's to be expected with Thibodeau, who's just a great defensive coach. And the only other two teams better in that category, the Thunder and Indiana. So Golden State gets looked upon as just this run-and-gun style basketball team, but they're really not that anymore. And I think that's going to serve them well come playoff times. They're going to stay healthy, obviously. And the other thing is, my opinion, for what it's worth, I think they're a better team when David Lee's not on the court. He can't defend at all. And I like this team better as a team that plays defense and shoots the outside shot with Thompson and Curry, who, you hope can light it up, and Curry certainly can. I don't think they're going to be an easy out come playoff time. They weren't last year, and they could go in as a 6th seed, and wouldn't shock me if they knock off the 3 seed, whether it's Oklahoma City or somebody like that. I think it's doable for this basketball team. So I'll give you the Warriors. Jim, about one for you.
Well, I'm looking at the Washington Wizards. Washington's a young team. They rank about number 5 in the East. They got young players. I mean, John Wall and Bradley Beal, both in their early 20s. They're very quick. They're good offensive players. They also can play some defense. They're ranked 6th in turnovers. The quickness that they have because they're young. They are, decent defensive ball club. They won 3 in a row twice, winning twice as dogs against the Bulls in Miami. They got a 4-game road trip coming up. The theory is they'll struggle a little bit on the road, but then they have a 5-game homestand, which they might do pretty well with. So I'm looking at Washington. We're going back and staying in the NBA. We all know Indiana is very strong, and it seems like the Heat are just kind of going through the motions in the regular season. And we've seen that in the past years with other teams that start to age. They start resting players during the regular season because pretty much everybody gets into the playoffs and then turn it up. I can remember years ago when Houston had all those great players, and every game they had 2 or 3 of them sitting on the bench, but they got in the playoffs and they were great. So I wouldn't put Miami Heat down too much because when it gets to playoff time, they're going to be strong. But Dave, going back to you, the Western teams, who do you like in the West? You got a lot of strong teams out West. You're not talking about 2 teams like you are in the East.
No, the West is loaded. I think Westbrook, when he returns, Oklahoma City goes back to, in my opinion, being the best team in the West. The problem for them is that at some point you're going to have to go through San Antonio, and that's the best coach team in the NBA. And they're getting up there. So there aren't too many windows left for the Spurs. They've come real close the last couple of years. They will get that one more championship. But I do think Oklahoma City can beat them in the playoffs. I will tell you, I really like the Pacers. The difference being, they almost beat Miami. They gave Miami fits the last 2 years. And last year, they took them, they were right there in that series. And the difference this year, it's not that, I still think Miami's great. And I completely agree with what you said about them resting players and kind of just doing what they got to do. The problem is that Indiana's going to have the home court advantage. And Lance Stevenson has taken his game to another level this year. This guy can really, he's a kid who came out early, only played the 1 year in college. It took him a while to develop, but holy cow, is he taking off. This guy's a great player. And I actually think Indiana is just flat out better than Miami at this point. I think Indiana is going to go to the finals this year. If I had to pick the finals, I know this is chalky, but I'd take Indiana and Oklahoma City to get to the finals right now. John, if you had to pick two teams to get to the finals right now, who would they be?
Yeah, I think in the East it's those two, Indiana and Miami. And I'm like you, I prefer Indiana. Their depth is just phenomenal, and their star power, depth, and attention to defense, to me, looks unbeatable. I think they can beat an aging team like Miami. So I would take them as the favorite. And then the West is just so loaded with teams. I mean, you get some long shot teams like Portland. I don't think they don't pay enough attention to defense to get there. But Memphis, Golden State do play enough defense. And then you got the kingpins with Oklahoma City and San Antonio. If I had to pick a matchup, it'd be Indiana, and I'll take a long shot with the Golden State Warriors.
Ooh.
Yeah, surprised.
The one, since we're all talking about Indiana as being so, so strong, and the East is a little weak, so they have basically one solid team to beat unless somebody steps up. I don't know who it would be. But the knock on Indiana was, when they get down to the crunch time, their guards have let them down. They stand around, they watch one guy try to take over. They don't really have the movement at the end. That's been a killer for them in the past couple years. Have they changed that? Have they fixed that problem?
I think their guard plays decent. But I love the front court. Love it. George, this guy's just a weapon anywhere. He keeps getting better. I don't know what he'll give him off the bench now, but Granger's still capable. And then you get Stevenson, to me, is the big difference in this team. And Hibbert is just ridiculous inside. And David West doesn't get any publicity, but boy, he's a handful on both ends of the court too.
Very good player.
He's a great player, and that's the perils of being kind of a low key guy who plays in Indiana, which isn't the biggest market in the world and doesn't get the attention that, say, if you were in New York, he'd be a massive star. But he spent his career in two smaller markets. I think the guy's dramatically underrated. I also like their coach a lot, a whole lot. Vogel, I mean, he runs some really good stuff. See, the thing to me is that I really thought the Pacers were going to knock off Miami last year. I thought the teams were that close. And nothing I saw has convinced me otherwise. It's like, okay, coming in this season, this is not a new prediction for me. I picked Indiana before the season started to come out of the East, and I'm staying with that. Now, I did pick Oklahoma City to win the whole thing, so we'll have to see on that. But the more I've seen out of the Pacers, the more I think they might actually be the best team in the league. I know the record gets, they've got a little easier road because of what you said. There's like two decent teams in the East. And I hate Brooklyn now that they've come together. The Nets are pretty good, but there's not much out there. So the record might get a little inflated, but I think this is a legit basketball team, and I think they're ready to step forward this year and knock off Miami. And then LeBron will go play someplace else. He's a free agent at the end of the year.
Maybe Canada.
I don't know where.
Now, where's he going to go?
I have no idea. I don't think he'll stay in Miami.
To Cleveland? Are you going to go back to Cleveland?
I think that's a long shot. I know that some people, he might want to go. The problem is the Cavaliers, it would be like starting all over again. They get Kyrie Irving, who's a nice player, and a couple other guys that are halfway decent, but doesn't look real good with this number one overall pick this year, Anthony Bennett. That's a disaster. And to me, I only think he's going to go to a situation where it's a team ready to win a championship, because I think he wants to chase Jordan and get the multiple rings. He's got two right now. Long way to go to catch Jordan. But at least make a run in that direction. Maybe catch Kobe. And I don't think he can do it with Cleveland. I think he might be heading to a more substantial market where there's already some really good pieces in place. That eliminates.
There's one thing that, well, first of all, Cleveland in football is having a hard time getting a coach to even want to interview for the job. The bottom, it's a depressed city. The ownership in the football side has had their issues, and they keep firing coaches. So coaches, and the other thing is, we're talking about, you got to remember that a lot of times when players make decisions about where to go, if they happen to be married, we know who makes the decisions.
Yes.
So if you want to have a happy life, you better have a happy wife. You've heard that before.
Or 4 happy wives.
A lot of people don't want to go to Cleveland. What's that?
Or 4 happy ex-wives.
They're only happy when the exes just want the money.
See, I still think that there's a possibility that, and I don't rule it out. I don't think it's the favorite, but I think there's a possibility that the Lakers could, they're going to have some money to play with. They could make a run at 2 or 3 guys, and he could end up out there. I don't rule it out. I think he's going to go someplace where he's extremely visible, but not New York. He will not. I don't think there's any circumstances he signs with the Knicks. Knicks are a joke.
Well, Fred, let's ask this question: is it absolutely a certainty in your mind that he will leave Miami?
No, but I think it's a favorite because I think their window is starting to close. Wade's getting up there. He's starting to age, and you need that. Now, if Wade retires and they've got a whole bunch of money and can bring in another star, I don't know. Maybe he stays, but I don't see that unfolding. I don't know. I have no idea what he's going to do. Obviously, it's strictly guessing. I've never met LeBron, and I don't know what his thought process is. But it is going to be fun.
The reason he is such an issue, of course, is because he is the absolute best player. When he gets focused, he is the best player. So wherever he goes, automatically becomes the favorite. And I think Miami's going to make every effort to keep him. They got every reason to keep him. I'm not discounting Miami. I know they're not playing that well now, but I know that in the beginning of the year they did talk about resting players. They got aging players. It's a long 80 season, 81 game season. There's no reason you're getting home court. It doesn't mean that much, when you got the best player. And they can win on the road. They've won a lot of games on the road in the past. So I don't discount that, and I'm still not 100% certain that mentally the Pacers can get over the hump and become a champion. I'm not 100% sure they can get over that hump.
It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a good NBA playoffs, and there's NBA winners to be had out there, by the way, along with college basketball and in the Super Bowl. Lots of good stuff. So let's get everybody updated with the offers that we have for this weekend. Mine is it's a 7-day offer, and I'm going to give you these window plays. These are, if you're talking about top plays, these are those. They're high roller plays, and if you become a regular customer of mine, we're going to charge you pretty good money for these. But in the meantime, you can get a week's worth, 7 full days of my high roller window plays in the NBA and college for $40. $40. I'm on a very good run right now. And if you've watched this over the years, I don't come on here and bullshit, okay? I mean, when I'm struggling, I'll say so, and when I'm going well, I'll say so. Anybody who's a serious gambler knows you don't win all the time. And how these, I don't know how these outfits that come on and say, we're hitting 80% all the time. I don't know how they get any customers. You'd think the marketplace would be so beyond that level right now. Fortunately, our clients are a little more sophisticated. They know that we don't win all the time, but they know that we give them a very good chance to win most of the time. And if you do that, you're going to be real happy with what you get. I think you'll like this package. I'm in good shape right now, and you're going to get 7 full days of my high roller window plays in the NBA and college, plus a game of the year on Saturday. And the total cost is $40. 1-866-896-1629, the number to call. 1-866-896-1629. Mr. Vegas has $1 a day offer. This is one of those deals where you can call in, get a lot of action, have some fun, and kind of get a feel for what Mr. Vegas is all about without having to pay almost anything, John.
That's right, Dave. I guess the only challenge left for LeBron would be to buy the Cleveland Cavaliers, fire Dan Snyder, and then rebuild the team, starting with himself as the front court star. Yeah, if you want to get a special from Mr. Vegas, you can get 7 full days of action, all sports, just $7, including an NBA high roller tonight. 7 days for $7 from Mr. Vegas. 1-866-896-1627.
And Jim, you know this has been a really good year for you in the NFL. You've been right at that 60% range for the whole season. That's a lot of profits. When you start talking about 80-something games, that adds up to a lot of plus units. The totals have always been really strong for you, and you're on a monster roll with those right now. Plus basketball and a really good offer that's going to take people all the way through the big dance.
Well, Dave, you just laid it out, and we've got a special play tonight as well. So if they call 1-866-841-1655, $39 gets you that whole package that Dave just mentioned.
Yeah, I don't think
and let me tell one other thing. If you want to get free winners each and every day, here's the best bet for you. Just text WINNER. That's WINNER to 313131, and here's my prop again. We'll send it right to your cell phone. That's WINNER to 313131, and you will get a free winner right to your cell phone each and every day. It doesn't get any easier than that.
Same with me, and you'll probably wake up getting the free winner because I usually send in the free play for the text message generally about midnight, 1 in the morning my time. That's when I'm doing my analysis for the next day in basketball. I like to do it late at night rather than early in the morning. But all you need to do is text Kokin, C-O-K-I-N, to 313131, and you'll get a free play on a text message every day. That's it. Now, we're going to come back and do more Super Bowl stuff next week. The props aren't out yet. That's why we didn't do any prop talk on this. Jay Cornegay at the LVH, he will put out the most props. All the properties are going to have tremendous works of bodies of work out there as far as the props are concerned, but nobody puts out more than Jay. He's world renowned for that. It's absolutely phenomenal what he does in terms of coming up with creative props. It's a lot of fun. We'll come back, and next week's Pro Line we'll take a look at a few of those props and have some fun with that. And believe me, there are some serious players now. It used to be that the props were just this, oh, look at this, it's a funny little... It's serious stuff now. There's a lot of money bet on these props, and there's a lot of research done on these. Now, I'm not a big prop guy myself, but I will tell you that there are guys out there who wait all year to delve into these props and do the math and come up with what they think is value. So this is not, sometimes you'll hear people joking about this on TV. Oh, Vegas having fun with this stuff. It's serious business. It's not like it used to be. So we will definitely break down some props next week.
Dave, do you know how much money they take to the props? There's probably a limit. They take 500, 1,000, 5,000 to a prop bet. And second question is, what day does Jay put them up? Is it Wednesday or Thursday this week?
I think it's Thursday of this week.
Okay.
They can't just throw he's going to have literally hundreds of props.
I know.
LVH. Hundreds.
I don't know how he does finds the time to do that work. It's horrible. It's unbelievable.
Well, that's probably why it takes a few days to get them up, because you can't just open for business on Monday and say, here's the props.
Right.
It's fascinating, and this stuff will get a lot of play nationally, and not to mention, and by the way, the other books, they admit it. They'll wait for Jay they wait for Jay to put his stuff out and then borrow some of it for themselves. He's just so good at it. The LVH is a great place to watch games. I don't want to single them out because Johnny Avello does a great job over at the Wynn, and Jimmy Vaccaro at South Point. Jimmy's one of our oldest friends in town, and there's just so many great places to watch the big games out here. Have a little fun doing it. Eat some good food during the games. Las Vegas is, if you're not at the game, Las Vegas is obviously the best place to be. And personally, I'd rather be here than at the game. I'll watch it on the big screen.
Oh,
easily.
easily.
I think Las Vegas is the only, or, Reno's not too bad either, or Tahoe. Lake Tahoe's nice, but Las Vegas is the place to be for the Super Bowl.
I guarantee, I've been to 11 Super Bowls, and I've been to several Final Fours, and they're exciting and they're wonderful and everything, especially at the Super Bowl if you get into the parties and stuff, which I've been fortunate enough to be able to do. But it's so much better to stay in Vegas and take advantage of what goes on here. We got big parties for the Super Bowl here, and all these hotels do a great job for all these events. It's so much easier, and you don't have to go through security lines at the airport, and I love that.
Yeah, I know. All right, that's it. We're done with this one. We'll come back next week and do the props version, and we'll try and get you a few that you can have some fun and hopefully make some money with. Meantime, take advantage of the offers. For Jim Feist and John Creighton, I'm Dave Kogan. Thanks a lot for watching. We appreciate it, and have a great week.
Thank you, guys.